Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a few months, but I'm finally back with another video. So, a while ago on my Instagram, I asked if there was any video ideas that people had or anything that they wanted to see from me. And someone replied asking if I could do my digital art process. So that is what today's video will be about. So today's drawing is Hibiscus Flower. That is her name. That is what she was inspired by. So here we are. I actually wanted something pretty simple for this drawing. Nothing too crazy or too realistic or detailed. I just wanted something quick and easy to get me back into art and back into drawing, since it's been a while since I even picked up a pencil or an Apple pen. So step 1 in my digital art process is creating a vision board and doing some draft sketches. Most of the time when I draw, I don't always make a vision board. Usually I'll just pull up some photos from Pinterest and save it to my gallery and just use the references that way, which honestly is not the most productive way to do it, but that's the way that I do it. But for this drawing, I did want to change that bad habit and start creating vision boards. Usually I have an idea in my head, which is why I never really use those, but it's nice just to see the whole vision in one reference, if you get what I'm saying. And using that vision board, I'll go through and I'll create some draft sketches, deciding on a pose and what I want the background to look like. Usually this step is very messy and very quick, which is why the sketches look kind of scary sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. But that is the first step to my digital art process, and that is what you see me doing here. So step 2 in my digital art process is creating the sketch and an oversketch. So once I pick a draft that I like, I'll go and turn that into an actual sketch. Then I'll go in with more details, how do I want the face to look? How do I want the background to look? Just taking that idea and really finalizing it. And when it comes to creating an oversketch, what that is taking that sketch and then making it look finalized. I know, what? That makes no sense. A few years ago, I heard something from an artist and they said, never do your line art or coloring until your sketch is finished and until your sketch looks like the final product. So that's kind of why I go through and you'll see me like doing multiple sketches, lowering the opacity, adding another one. But with each sketch, you'll see me adding more and more detail and just finalizing everything until I get a finished sketch, until I know what I want the finished drawing to look like. And I do that because once I get to the line art, it's really difficult to go back and make corrections after I already have everything lined. I hate that. I hate when I make a mistake and I have to go back and fix it. So I do plenty of sketches over that and plenty corrections over the original sketch, just to make sure I don't have to go back and fix any line art. So the next step when I'm drawing is the line art and the color block. So I'll take the Oversketch, I'll lower the opacity, and I'll go through and I make the line art. Once I get to this point, I'm not trying to go back and fix nothing, y'all. So I really make sure I like everything before even getting to the line art step. That way I can just knock the line art real quick, done. I don't know. I just really don't like the line art. For whatever reason, it used to be my favorite part of my art process. Nowadays, I absolutely hate it. I hate it. It's my least favorite, so I try not to do it too often or make any mistakes to where I have to go back and redo any line art. And then the color block is what you'll see me doing as I go through and I'll sketch. So most of the time when I do the color block layers, it's before I even do the line art. And I do that just because I want to make sure the sketch looks good, but I also want to get an idea of colors before I get to laying down the flat layers and really the bulk of the coloring. So that's what the color block is. And here you see me laying down a lot of reds and greens. In the final drawing, I decided not to add reds to the coloring just because I didn't feel like it fit the vibes of what I wanted. When I first started doing this drawing, it was more of like a fun, cutesy type artwork. But when it came to drawing her face, I feel like it kind of came out sexier than what I really wanted it to. And if you follow me on Instagram, then you probably saw like the original face that she had, which I believe I cut it out of this video. But yeah, so I think red just kind of like made it more sexier than what I wanted it to be. So I decided to go with the pink, which matches the flower in her hair. And that's kind of like the statement piece that I really wanted for this drawing. It was just a flower in her hair. So I wanted everything to be cohesive with that, but also stand out on its own. So yeah, so the color block layer is just me kind of like figuring out what I want to do as far as coloring goes. Okay, now this next step is really where the magic happens with the digital art, guys. The part everyone loves, and that is adding the flat layers and adding the value. So, taking that color block, I'll go through and I'll color pick, and then I'll add the actual flat layers so that I can start coloring. Once I get all the flat layers in, I'll go through and I'll add values, and that consists of highlights, shadows. I like to add a lot of red tones in the skin. And yeah, that's really it. It's not too much to say about the color layer. And then you're probably like, what do you mean? That's like the part everybody wants to know how to do. Everybody wants the secret on how to color, but honestly, guys, it's that simple for me. I actually go through and I'll make the layers in that order. So I'll do the shadows. Then on top of the shadows, I'll go through and I'll add like a lot of red tones using an airbrush. And then once I get the airbrush down, I'll go through and I'll add my highlights. And I literally do that for every piece in this drawing, guys. So I separate my layers by the skin, the clothes, the hair, and then the background. I do the same thing for each layers, guys. So the hair, I'll do highlights, shadows. Don't add reds to the hair. I really only do that with the skin, but I'll go through, add highlight, shadows, and then cast shadows. It's like the little glow you see on the side of her face and her clothing. So that's really the extent of my value and my coloring. I don't know, it's not that interesting to me, but it is my favorite part of the drawing process just because I can do that rather quickly. I think at most it takes me anywhere from an hour to 2.5 hours to get the coloring down, and that's it for that step. Also, side note, guys, I know you're probably wondering, and this is such an awkward place to put this in the video, but I know y'all want to know the type of brushes that I use for Procreate, so I'm gonna tell you. I'm not gonna lie, guys, most of the time I just use the base brushes that come with Procreate because in my honest opinion, they're really good brushes and you don't need a lot of different types of brushes just to get a drawing done. Especially with my type of art style, I have like a very cartoony / realistic art style, so I don't really need all these different types of brushes. Anyway, for sketching, I like to use brushes by the artist Rake. I like to use his sketch pencil for obviously the sketching, and then for line art I use his Rake inking line art brush. And then I'll go through and I'll like edit the settings however I like it. I don't really have particular settings. Please don't ask. I honestly don't know. I've been using the same settings for a few years now, and I honestly just play with the knobs until I get something that I like. For coloring, I like to use Procreate's base brush. It's just round brush. I use the same one for shadowing, and honestly, most of the coloring that I do and most of the work I do in Procreate, period, is used with the round brush. For blending though, I do like to use the blending sculptor brush by this artist here. I honestly don't know how to say their username, but I love them. They're one of my favorite artists, and they have really good brushes, especially if you want like a more textured type of style. I don't know. I don't really have like a texture style, but I think their blending brush is really smooth and I love to use it. I've been using it for a few years now. Then to go in and add like a few details, I know like I said earlier, I like to use a airbrush for the red layers and just to make the skin look more lively. I like to just use the soft airbrush by Procreate. Again, like I said, all I really use is Procreate brushes. For the details with the eyes, I do like to use the Flicks brush. I actually don't know which pack it comes from, but it is a Procreate base brush. I'm gonna see if I can find it and I'll just link it below. I'll have all these brushes linked below, but if you were wondering, these are the brushes that I use to draw in Procreate. Alrighty guys, coming up on the last step, which is step 5 in my drawing process, my digital art process. I like to go through and I like to add effects and filters. So I'm probably like, how do you do that in Procreate? Well, I know if you press like the little magic button, there's a bunch of different effects you can add for your drawings. Me personally, I like to go through and add a noise layer, and then I'll go and add RGB to it, just to, you know, it kind of gives it like a textured look. If you zoom into my artwork, you'll see it. I can see it. It just makes it look nice and more put together. I got this from an artist on TikTok. I'm going to try and find the video, guys. I saw this video years and years ago. This is like 2022, so I hope I can find it. If not, sorry.
Hey, I'm Kat. I make art in Procreate, and here are the 3 finishing touches I love to put on my drawings. The first thing is a noise layer. I make a gray layer on top of my drawing and clip it down. Then I set it to overlay and toggle it on and off to make sure it's not affecting the contrast of the drawing too much. Next, I go to Adjustments, Noise, and drag the noise level to somewhere between 8 and 10%. I found that this gives it an overall nice grainy texture that's subtle from far away, but you can definitely see it when you zoom in. Next, I duplicate the drawing because this next adjustment is, kind of hard to go back on if you decide you don't like it. But on the new layer, I go to Adjustments, Chromatic Aberration, and holy crap, look at Armin, he's tripping. This is a really fun effect to play with. I usually use the Displace slider and then play around with the transparency and blur options until I get something that just looks cool and I'm happy with it. I use this kind of sparingly though, because it does affect the way your drawing looks, like more so than the other changes. This last thing is kind of like my final color adjustment of any given piece, but I clip on a solid color layer, usually something pastel, set it to overlay, and turn it down. It just can sort of tint all the colors of the piece a little towards a certain direction if you want to play with the warmth or coolness of how that layer looks. It's really fun to just drag around like the hue and saturation sliders so you can see the different ways that you can affect the tone of your piece. So while these changes are each pretty subtle, I really like how overall they just make a finished piece feel a little bit spicier and like I've polished it off somehow. There's no right or wrong way to do digital art, but I found these techniques work well with my art style and maybe they would work well with yours. So I hope you have a great day and thank you for watching.
So once I go through and I add my noise layer and my RGB layers, I'll go through and I'll add filters and vignettes just to make it look more cohesive and put together. I know a lot of artists go through and they'll mess with like the color curves. Me personally, I don't want to mess with that, y'all. I don't know what that is. I don't know how to deal with it, so I don't. I just go through and I'll put like a flat layer. I'll like color pick from something in the drawing, which I believe for this one I color pick pink. And I'll just change the layer mode and mess with the opacity until everything looks cohesive and nicely. And then I'll go through and I'll put in a vignette as a filter. And honestly guys, that's really it to my drawing process. It's pretty quick and easy. Not really. It takes me like over 50 hours to make a drawing, but you know, I like to condense things, so hopefully I condensed it in a way that's understandable to you guys, but also entertaining. I would like to make a different video soon, just explaining in better detail and better formatted as to how I do my digital art process. But for now, I hope this video is enjoyable enough for you. Guys, with that being said, that was my digital art process / draw with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I'll go through and make another video explaining in better detail how I draw. This video kind of did not go the way that I wanted to. A lot of things were going wrong. Could not get the screen recordings to work like they should have. I lost a lot of footage. Even editing the video kind of was like sending me into a rage. So not to say this video was like kind of sloppily put together, but I did kind of do this rather quickly just to kind of get it over with. But I did really want to make this video for you guys, so there will be another one coming soon. With that being said, here is the final drawing. I hope you guys like it. Please make sure to subscribe and follow me on Instagram. If you guys like my artwork, please comment and let me know. Please share. I love when you guys comment and share. It makes me feel like I'm doing a good job. And yeah, so that's really all I have for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye.